Yes, hi, how are you? Can you hear me?
Dude, I'm doing good. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, awesome, awesome.
Dude, how you doing, man?
Pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good. Can't complain. Uh, yeah, man.
Nice.
Life's pretty good. I'm sitting down, play some video games, talk about some video games. Couldn't be better.
Awesome. I really, yeah, thank you. I was happy to be able to work with you. I started watching your videos a few weeks back, and I just thought you do a great job. I mean, congratulations on everything you do. I mean, you
Nice,
should
man.
feel good.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So, um, I guess where I like to start with everyone is just go ahead and let me know what league you're in and what race you like to play, and then overall like just generally like an idea of where your play style's at, like what units you like to use or something.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm currently I started playing basically around started playing again around Thanksgiving
Okay.
Thanksgiving break, and I've been able to reach since then Gold 2
Okay.
playing Terran. Last time I played was Wings of Liberty, and I made Platinum just doing like a Marine Rush and stuff like that. But I mean, that was 8 years ago.
Yeah.
So uh, I have been playing basically the 3-1-1 into 5-1-1 before I started watching your videos, and then I kind of hit a wall. I kind of float around 2400 MMR. I kind of hit a wall anyway, so I'll go ahead and try. Especially since I considered your question with you, try doing your build. So I kind of started doing that Monday probably. I switched to your mech build, so
Yeah.
I kind of knew the mech stuff. I was heavily reliant on the marine stuff. I kind of feel naked actually with the marines, but I'm
Yeah.
doing it
Yeah.
anyways.
Okay, so I actually have an idea because well, this is what I would say, and this is kind of my like I'm gonna be making another Bronze GM series in about like maybe 2 months, and I actually have changed my idea on the mech build. Like I'm actually think I'm gonna probably, even though I think it's really the most easy way for Terran to go from bronze to diamond. And actually, this is more like first of all, let me ask you this question before I really go into this. What is your overall goal in StarCraft? Is it like you want to hit diamond or you want to hit plat, or do you just want to always get better?
So I mean, I actually have had fun really with what games that I consider fun, even at silver.
Yeah,
So right now I'm in gold, and I just hate that. Like I mean, I do like SC2 replays, and when I play like gold guys, like gold ones, I have 0 wins.
yeah,
Gold twos, I have like a 30%. Gold threes, I like 40%. Right, so I'm okay being gold. To
yeah.
be honest, I just want to play more competitively, do as best as I can. I don't really care whether I'm gold or platinum.
Okay, so
Or
you
if
just
I belong in silver, oh well, but I think I can do okay on gold. I hope.
okay.
Maybe after
No,
watching my
yeah.
replays, you can tell me if
It's
but
just
I
that
just want to be competitive.
yeah. No, it sounds like you just want to keep getting better, which
Yeah.
is like that's how I would feel too. So I honestly think we should probably talk about bio today rather than mech. Because what will happen if you go for like just to give you a reason why is just like really fast. Mech will if we talked about that, it would get you really, really, really like a very quick route to going to Diamond League. It would be way faster than Bio for you. However, once you get to Diamond, you're gonna feel like you hit a brick wall. And you're gonna be like, okay, well now I have to start learning Bio. And although you could do that, it's like a big hurdle you have to overcome if we take you down that road. So
Uh huh.
that's also kind of why I want to change my philosophy of Vita GM for next time, because it every Terran struggles with this. They're like, well, I got like it was nice and easy to diamond, and then as soon as I got diamond, everything got really hard, and it's more of a jarring transition with my Terran series than it is with Protoss and
Hmm.
Zerg because Terran's mech okay now go bio, and you're like I don't know how to play bio. It's fucking weird. So we can talk about bio. I can talk about some ways to like help you do your bio better and what you should be trying
Hmm.
to do. Uh, the tricky thing is we're gonna have to talk about how you can micro with the most minimal effort possible. So like if I can be like, okay, well you can do this micro technique that will take you literally 1 second and then go back to macroing. That is kind of what you have to do. Uh,
Hmm.
that's the general idea. So it's bio later on gets more and more and more time invested into microing as you grow through the leagues. But for now, it's gonna just be your macro. We gotta like really fine tune that.
Okay, cool. That's what I was doing before I started your build. I wasn't super great at it. I did minimal micro, but I built enough massive things. I would stem timeliness, and that's how I would get my wins. And
Yeah.
I would do counters once they. I'll be kind of passive, and then I'm not used to it. If you want to teach me drops and stuff like, I'm not used to doing stuff like that. But I would just happen to find times where I can at least win half the time.
Yeah, for sure. That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess we can jump into it. I are you first of all, are you on Battle.net right now? Are you online?
Yeah, I'm inside the game. Yes.
Okay, so all you got to do is on the top right, go ahead and like left click your avatar portrait. It should open up your profile, and then in the middle left of this window, you'll see a button that says ladders. Click that, and then
clicked it.
Click the same thing that says Grandmaster. And then scroll all the way down to rank 140. What the hell was I? 168 is what I am right now. So 168. You can then right click my name there and send me a message.
I see chat.
There you go.
Right, so message there.
Okay. Yo. All right. So I'm gonna invite you to a party, and would you prefer to? There's two ways you can do this, and there's no right or wrong answer here. Would you prefer to go through a replay of yours, maybe a recent one that you want to like really break down, or would you prefer to do more of like a build, like create a build sequence right now here with like I'll help you make one that suits what you're looking for, which is obviously bio, and we can also talk about which matchup it's going to be designed for. More, actually, you know what? No, that doesn't really matter. It's going to be the same in all matchups for now. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, it's really replay focus or like build creation focus. I would say those are the two best ways.
I'm kind of stuck at like 2400 MMR. What do you think will be most useful to me? The replay I had thought about where I was thinking using your build, so I can find replays that they'll be a little older.
Yeah,
I just have to think a little bit.
I say let's just do build creation. Fuck it. It would, because what I'm gonna do is I'm still gonna test you with it. It's I'm basically gonna give you an example of what I think you should be doing, what I want you to be doing, and then I'm gonna have you do it yourself after, and we're gonna talk about what is important, what you should be aiming for, and things like that. So I think that'd be the best way to do it. All right, so next thing is go ahead and right click my name and invite me to a party, because I can't actually invite you to a party because you have a privacy thing on, which is fine.
Okay, so let me see. Like I can't. What's this thing? So right click your name. Okay. 5.
Then you
invite to party.
Yep. And then now right click my name in the top right again and make me party leader.
Alright, so right click promote to leader. Yep.
Perfect. Okay, now easy peasy. That's the hardest part of the lesson right there.
Alright. A+.
Yeah, good job, dude. You passed.
Thank you.
Alright. So I'm gonna make you a spectator for the first one. And if you had to pick what I mean, I guess it's again the build's gonna be the same, but if you had to pick, what matchup do you feel like you want to just have a visual of the most? Like if you wanted to be like, okay, well, I struggle the most with this matchup. Which do you think that would be?
As a game to go of any length, I think it's usually Protoss because they're pretty good nagging you from the very beginning.
Sure.
Yeah, so I mean, Protoss and Terran. I mean, Terran is my worst percentage win, but I hate losing to Protoss more just because I hate DTs, I hate carriers.
Sure, no,
so,
it makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, so what we're gonna do, this is gonna be the focus, okay? So the general game plan of what we're gonna do before the game starts is we're going to have you do a bio build. We're gonna have you play defensive macro while you do said bio build, and then we're gonna go into a situation where we will start doing these, like in the mid game when we're super well defended. We're going to have a situation where you're going to start doing a drop. It's not going to be very much micro at all. It's going to be super basic micro. It could potentially win you the game, or it might just die. If it dies, it's not going to it's not going to like cause really that much problems for you because it's okay for it to die. It's supposed to die in general, but ideally what you want to have happen is you want to just do some damage if it can be done. We'll talk about it. It's super basic. And then from there, it's really just understanding how to build your base. That's the biggest part about this, is if your units know where and when to be at certain points, it's so much easier to not get fucked by a lot of things. So, with that being said,
yeah, that makes sense to me. Okay.
Yeah, we'll just jump into it. If you have any questions as we go through it, obviously feel free to ask, and you can interrupt me. I do not mind. I just want to make sure you're getting all the answers you can get. And yeah, I'll just walk you through a build that I think you should be aiming to do yourself. And yeah, it'll just be, again, it's going to be super safe defense with, the timing eventually will build up, and then we'll go attack your opponent and, go from there.
Okay.
Okay, so first things first, obviously we're just, making an SCV. The second that you can, obviously, like I would say when the game is starting, definitely try to have your mouse in the middle of the screen so you can definitely make that SCV as fast as possible. First SCV spawns, we're going to rally it down to where we're going to make our first depot, and then re-rally the command center back to the middle line. Make our depot, and just wait for a second here now to get ready to build our barracks. And we're chilling for a little bit. In this moment as well, you can take your SCVs and you can try to stack close patches. Close patches are obviously just the patches that are closer to the command center. And if you stack these, they are going to give you a little bit of a bonus economy. And it's super easy to do it right now when nothing's going on. Now we make our racks, and as we make our racks, we're going to take one of our SCVs and make a gas. Now right when we take that gas, we're going to rally one of our SCVs to our opponent's base. Now what you can do is you can right-click his mineral line, hold shift, right-click your mineral line. This way you're going to get your SCV into his base. You're just going to get a quick scout. You just want to see basic things, and you don't even have to control your SCV. It'll come back to your base and start mining resources. Okay, and now we're going to put a couple of SCVs into our gas.
How picky are you putting him into the gas? Should I be making sure not to grab those valuable minerals, or just drag whatever and
I would say
sure
if you accidentally grab an SCV with minerals in its hand and you say, go mine that gas now, all you got to do to fix that is hit C on the keyboard, and it makes the SCV return cargo and go return the minerals, and then it will mine the gas. And it is worthwhile to do that.
So it auto queues it. I don't need to do a queue action there. I'll do, if I hit C, I'll drop it and then.
He'll return it to the command center. So he like returns the minerals and then he goes to mine the gas after. So it doesn't just delete the minerals essentially. Okay, now we're gonna make a Reaper, and the Reaper, right now, I want you to just get in the habit of doing this. This is something that you could make use of if you feel comfortable, but if you don't feel comfortable, it's okay. Like for now, I'm just gonna have it stay defensive. It's totally fine. This is just something that'll be a part of your build as you'll grow as a player, and it's nice to have it early on to defend yourself, but like against a lot of different things that could potentially hit you. But in general, we'll just leave it defensive. So as you get really comfortable with this, you could go attack your opponent with it and do damage, kill workers, scout even more, things like that. Okay, so now we're going into a second racks, and as soon as we have 100 gas, we're going into a factory. When we take our factory, we're taking a second gas. So we took the factory, or go ahead.
The first building there was a second barrack. Sorry, the building on the right.
I'll pause it really fast, and I'll say, so the build so far is what we've done. We've done depot first, and then as soon as depot was done, we made our first racks with the depot SCV. He just went right to making a barracks, and we paired that first barracks with a gas. Then we just built SCVs for a little while. We made our orbital command afterwards, and as soon as the first racks makes a Reaper, like we wait on building anything else because we don't have a lot of money there because we're making our expansion as well. So again, we went depot, racks, expansion, and then as soon as we have a little bit of money freed up, this is going to roughly be around the time when your Reaper's done. Okay, so Reaper finishes and we start a reactor. When you start a reactor, that's roughly the time you want to start barracks number 2.
Okay.
And then as soon as you have 100 gas, you then start a factory, and when you start a factory, you start gas number 2. So first barracks pairs with first gas, factory pairs with second gas. Then from here, all we're gonna do now is we're going to go into what is called a 2-1-1 build, and I think this build's gonna be better for you overall because 3-1-1 requires aggression to be worth it. 2-1-1, not as much. It's more economical because you don't have as much production going. So
I was doing it 1-1-1, 2 barracks, and then two tech labs to do the stem pack and the shield at the same time.
Yeah, that's a bit intense, honestly. Like,
this
definitely what this build will do for you is the idea we have now is we're going to be building depots in good locations to help us defend ourselves. We are going to be going for a couple of tanks. We're not going to go tanks all game. We're just going to make tanks for the early game defense. That's it. In case you get all in or some bullshit like that. So we're going to make tank bio, essentially. We're probably going to stop around 2 tanks. You don't need to make a lot of them. And as soon as we have 2 tanks, we're done. And it's just going to be Marines and medevacs, Marine Marauder medevac, like bio medevac, essentially. And it's going to be expansions and just setting up more and more of your base with, resources and placement and more bio. And then as soon as you have around like 150 supply of just doing this, we're going to then have you start doing like 1 drop at a time. Just 1. Which is, it's the most basic way to do it. You can, like, once you get more advanced as a Terran, you can do 2 drops or 3 drops at a time, which is kind of intense. But 1 drop at a time is super easy peasy. And, well, again, once we get there, we'll explain it. And all you do is you wait until, like, with your drop, you just wait, stay defensive, wait with your main army. And once you max out, then you go push. And by then, we'll have your whole setup ready to go about how you can remax fast and all your stuff like that. It will be ideally good to go. And your economy should be banging as well. Like, it should be thriving with good, like, a good amount. So that's the general idea of what we're going to be going for. So, we're going to be opening up a tank, like 2 tanks, into just bio-medevac defensive. And then we're going to be expanding our economy in the process and building our buildings in smart locations that make it easy to do this. Okay, so all makes sense so far?
Yes, sounds reasonable. Yep.
Okay, so we'll go back into it. So we got our natural about done. We're going to go make an orbital command out of it as soon as you can. Also, make sure every time you can always prioritize that orbital as fast as possible. It's super important to get down early. Alright, so our gas is done at our natural. And with the second racks, we'll make a tech lab. And with the factory, we will make a tech lab. And now we're going to make a starport. While we just make SCVs and Marines at this point. So we can grab an SCV off our natural, and we can start building the second round of wall for our base. So walls are huge here. First wall is on the high ground ramp. Second wall is going to be in front of our natural. And now that we have our tech lab is done on the barracks, we started stim pack. And then as soon as we have a little bit of gas in the open here, we're going to start our siege tank. And in the meantime, we're just making Marines. So it's just Marines.
Stim pack over first before tank?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Like, just because the majority of your army is going to be your bio units, you're not going crazy amounts of tanks. So if by the time stim pack's done, if we have like 20 Marines, that's going to be huge if you get all in to be like, okay, let's stim pack all of our Marines and not die here. So it goes, the priority would go bio stim pack first, into tank second, into medevac third. And then stim pack's a one-time thing too, so you're not going to have to do it over and over and over. And just keep making depots off of your natural, just like we are here. Keep making Marines. And then when you make your first tank, make sure you high ground this bad boy, like just like that. That way, if you do get attacked by something, your tank is way more defensible. It's not just going to insta-die. Keep making SCVs, keep making Marines. And now, as soon as you get a fully saturated natural, kind of like what we have right here, take an SCV. It does not matter where you do it. It could be a new one that just built or whatever. And get ready to make your third command center just like this. So now we have 3 CCs, and we're still making Marines. We're still making medevacs. All of our production's still pumping as much as possible. And we're done making tanks now. So now we're gonna go in to double gas on the natural. We can now also take a couple SCVs off the natural or whatever, and you can make a couple engineering bays. So 2 engineering bays paired with 2 gases at your natural. And now go ahead and keep making your bio units. And now I would say you can lift off your barracks, or sorry, lift off your factory, and you can literally never use it again. You can just stop using it at this point. Once you move it off, you can now take another barracks, so you can build it on top of the open spot where the tech lab was. You can make a reactor on your starport now. So you're going to pair the reactor on the starport. We'll just say this all really fast, because I know this can be a little confusing at times. So 2 tanks, we lift off. At around 2 tanks as well, our natural ideally should be fully saturated. So what this allows us to do is we have good mineral income, and now we can expand our gas income even further. And because we're doing this, we can now stop making Marines so much. We can make just Marines off of the reactor. We can add in a gas cost into our barracks off of 2 tech labs now, which is going to be Marauders. And we can also add in an extra gas cost into the starport, which is going to be a reactor medevac production now. So we've just increased our gas costs by like quite a bit throughout every rotation of units now. And we're just no longer making tanks. And then on top of that, we're also making the upgrades. We're starting the gas production of our upgrades for our bio units. So it's going to start becoming upgraded bio with just Marine Marauder medevac. Feel good?
Yeah, felt good.
Okay.
Yep.
And then from here, it's just going to be 3 racks with 1 starport is all we're going to be producing out of for now until we're fully saturated on 3 bases. And that is going to be the time when our 4th base is going to get ready to start. And every time from now on, what we're going to do is once our third base goes down at the third base and we start saturating it, every time we build a new command center from this point on, you're going to pair that with 2 more racks. Command center, 2 more racks. Command center, 2 more racks. Every time.
Starting with the third one or starting after?
Starting with the fourth one. So on the third rack, on the third command center, this is the when we lift off the factory, off the tech lab, and we're just building only 1 more racks with the tech lab. And it's because we're going to utilize the tech lab essentially, and we're going to make marauders out of it. But from now on, from ever since we make command center number 4, it's always going to be paired with making 2 more barracks with it every time. And we're going to make 2 more barracks up until the point until you have literally, you're having an odd number as well, so it's always going to be odd because you're adding 2 more, so it's going to 3, 5, 7, 9, etc., etc. You're going to stop making barracks around the time when you have like 15 barracks. So that's how many times you're going to do this. It's going to be a lot of adding on barracks, adding on barracks, adding on barracks. And the reason why 15 barracks is going to make sense here for you is because you're basically doing a style where you're going to turtle. Okay, I'm maxed out. Okay, let's go. A lot of your army is going to you're either going to just steamroll your opponent and win the game, or if you trade, a lot of your army is going to die, and you want to be able to remax quickly. So more racks means faster remax. And that's why we're going to about 15. 15 racks, ideally what we're aiming for as well, is 1/3 tech lab, 2/3 reactor. So you're going to have a fuckload of Marines. So it's going to be like 5 Marauders at a time with 20 Marines at a time. Because you have 10 racks with reactor, which is making 20 rounds of 20 Marines, 20 Marines, 20 Marines. Make sense?
All right, so what was the total number then? And so it's 15, 18, what was the...
So you want to have about 15 racks in total.
15, okay.
And then you want that to be,
yep.
you want it to be 1/3 tech lab, 2/3 reactor. It does not have to be perfect. If you fuck it up and you make 6 tech labs and it's 9 reactors, it's okay. It's not going to be like, well, start over. The build's ruined. Like, it's totally fine. It's ideally, like, that's the general number you want to aim for, though, is about 1/3, 2/3. 1/3 tech, 2/3 reactor.
And up to this point, yes, right now, like minutes 5:47 before your third comes up, you've only built Marines up to this particular second.
Yes, because
right?
I could not afford Marauders yet. The gas was being stretched so thin because I couldn't even maintain full medevac production and full tank production. And also the stim pack. I prioritized barracks, then I prioritized factory, then I prioritized starport. So stim pack is a priority, followed by tanks is with my next gas, make the tank, and then any gas that I have left over, I make a medevac. And then again, if everything comes out and they're all produced, I immediately prioritize the tank again, and then I prioritize the medevac. And I only have to do this until I have 2 tanks. 2 tanks is like the golden number, where if you get all in early in the game by stalkers or ravagers or roaches or whatever, they're going to make the world of difference for you at not dying. But you're not making tanks all game. You don't have to worry about the added, because here's why you don't want to make tanks all game. You have to micro them. To use tanks properly, they need to be microed, and it will make a big problem for you to do it properly. So what these tanks are going to do is they're going to sit there all game. Literally all game, you're never going to touch them again. If they happen to die later on, you never have to remake them. But for what it is, you can do select all army situations here. That's totally fine. They'll never move because they're sieged, but they just sit here. They just play base defense. And that's just it. So it's just really good at keeping you alive in the early game when you're setting up, because bio is substantially weak early game when you don't have your upgrades yet, and bio is also kind of scary to use when you don't have enough of it to just literally like stim pack and just execute everything as it tries to walk towards them. So that's why we're making tanks. It just makes it to where your chances of dying are much lower. But yeah, so what we're going to do now is we're going to keep making SCVs. We're going to transfer SCVs once we have our third base as an orbital. We're going to transfer a bunch of oversaturated SCVs from the natural to the third, because we're constantly just cranking out SCVs like crazy. And then when our third base is ready to go, we're going to, take the fourth, take more command centers, take the fifth, take more barracks, take the fourth, take more barracks, and so on and so on and so on and so on. And that's all we're going to do. So I'll keep going with it, and then it'll make more sense as we do it as well.
Okay, sounds fair.
Okay. So now that we have more gas from our natural, we're going to start making Marauder. We're going to start our upgrades. So upgrades at the engineering bay, going down. Now we're going to also start making a couple depots at our third base. Our natural tank Or go ahead. Sorry, what's
You're
up?
not doing tower. Sorry, you're not doing towers right after your engineering base uh, just for Oracle BS or stuff like that,
Oh,
or
missile turrets.
yeah, missile turrets. Yeah.
So missile turrets, I would say with this build are not the most important. The You know what? Fuck it. It's gonna help you. So here's what we're gonna do. This is gonna make your build flow really well and not have a problem with late game bullshit that can hit you. But in the early game, if you did get hit by an air unit, you're making Marines nonstop. The build is you make a Reaper, instant reactor, and you make Marines the whole time. So if you did get hit by like one Oracle, you have more than enough Marines to kill it. Easy peasy. Now, once you take a third base, this would be a good time now because your base is it's starting to become a lot more widespread. It's getting a bit more, you have more of the map controlled, so it's going to be harder to defend everything at once. And also on top of that, this is around the time when if you were playing against a guy who's like, I like Dark Templars or Cloaked units, this could start having a problem for you. So what we're going to do is right when your third base is getting ready to go down, we're going to just, from that point on, add in one missile turret per mineral line and do it at every base from then on. So just always, if you go, okay, I'm taking another base, add a turret to the mineral line. But up before this point, you really don't need it because the Marines should easily handle the job because you've been making Marines the whole game.
Should I be saving one scan or something like that? Is this just in case or no? Don't bother. We just do it as needed.
Also, keep in mind too,
At this point.
we just made the engineering base with this build, so we can't actually make turrets before this. And I would say, yeah, that's totally fine. You can with the saving a scan thing, you can save a scan on purpose, and that's okay. Just know though, as well, if we're expanding really fast, the chances of you having a scan on hand are going to be much higher as well because you have multiple command centers just developing energy constantly. So, in general, the chances of you dying to Dark Templar, especially in Gold League, are very, very, very low before this point. And the only thing I would say that would, this is the only thing that could happen to you, okay? That would make you go, oh shit, DTs are actually a threat before 6 minutes. If you're SCV Scout, or if you decide to use your Reaper Scout a little bit later, and again, I'm not requiring you to use the Reaper Scout, it's totally fine. But if your opponent literally never has a natural, if they just never expand to a natural, then yes, having a scan is going to be worthwhile because there's a good chance he might be going 1 base Dark Templars. But if someone goes for 2 base or 3 base DTs, especially in lower leagues like Gold League, the chances of them hitting you before this point right now is very low. Like, super, super, super low. Like, it's people don't hit timings that are very efficient in lower leagues. They just don't. So, if you do turrets around 6 minutes in your build, you'd be fine. Totally fine.
Okay, cool.
So, but yeah, just save a scan to make yourself feel better. That would be fine because there is a chance a guy could be a 1 base DT boy and he might hit you at like 430. That could happen. So if you have a scan there, you're fine. But you got to realize as well, you'll also have a depot wall to keep yourself safe from DTs walking in your base. And then the only thing that can happen is if there's like a Prism DT, and if he goes Prism DTs on 1 base, that is expensive because you have to tech up to a factory or a robo for Protoss, which is gas. You have to tech into DTs. You have to get multiple gateways for making multiple DTs. It's a lot of gas going into that off of 1 base, and it's really hard to hit fast timings with that if you're 1 basing that shit.
Yeah, that's one of the repos I was gonna show you. A guy, he made a really fast bunch of DTs that just single swipe killed my depot wall. one depot and got in there, and there's some chaos. I mean, there's some mean people on Gold, I think.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, just know that 6 minutes is super fast. Okay, if you take turrets at 6 minutes, that is fast.
Yeah.
Like if you take turret, like the fastest DT that could ever hit you would probably be around like 4 minutes, like 4 minutes and 15 seconds, and that would be like 1 DT, maybe 2, because you could not physically afford more than that at that point. It's impossible. And like if you went for like macro DTs, more like 5 minutes plus, like 5:30 would be like, like 6 DTs could hit you or something like that. Like 4.
It was. I think that's what hit me. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, if you have a scan, you'd be fine. Just save a scan, you're good to go. And then once you have turrets, don't worry about it anymore. But if you make engineering bays before this, it's gonna fuck your build up pretty hard. In terms of like all the timings are gonna be thrown off because it is expensive to make turrets and engineering bay early on in the build. It's gonna do something like, for instance, delay your third command center quite heavily. So save a scan, you're good to go. And we'll go from there. We'll start making turrets now. After we have engineering bays, we make the engineering bays after we have a fully saturated natural. We have a third orbital command starting. And we're making Marauders and Marines. Okay, and at this point now as well, we're making depots still. We're making depots as well to prepare our natural, or to prepare our third base. And now that we're going for a third base, try to always do, I'm going to pause it one more time and say this really fast. So, tank placement. This is something that's important. First tank goes on the high ground overlooking your natural, just like how we left it at the beginning of the game, and you never move it again. Just leave it there. Tank number 2 goes down to behind your depot wall at your natural first, until like while you're on a natural, while you have 2 bases, and that's it. You want to move tank number 2 towards the cliff above your third base once you take your third base, because now your third base is much more exposed. Your natural is still really well defended with a bunch of depots, and you have all your bio there. So tank number two wants to go defend your third base, which is going. I'm going to show you where I'm going to put it this game. So you put it first behind the depot wall, and then you put it on the cliff overlooking your third base. And then once you put it on the cliff overlooking your third base, you never touch it again all game. And the reason why this is a really good place to put it is because not only does it defend your third base, which could get attacked right now, which is, again, you're not fully like powered up yet. You're still powering up. So this is a scary point for you to get hit on your third base. But also, it not only defends your third base, but it defends your main base. So this also carries over into late game, where if someone depot or if someone like prism drops your main base, it makes it to where you have tanks supporting your main base with your production. So it helps your base to be defended essentially. And then from that point on, you just forget about tanks. You never ever ever touch them again.
Okay.
All right.
Any maps, any exceptions to this? All maps have to give you a chance to do this in a third.
In general, yeah. Most for the majority of maps, you're gonna have a third base that's like basically under your main base. It's yeah, that's just how it goes. So we're just making, and our production is literally everything's on group 4. I'm gonna pause it and say this again. All of our production's on group 4. I have all my racks and my starport, so everything but the factory is on group 4. And the way I'm doing it is I have 3 barracks and 1 starport, and it prioritizes barracks first before starport. That's just how it does it. So if I hit 4, 3 racks will be selected first, and I'm gonna go DDAA. The reason why I do this is because I want to make units out of my tech labs first, and then I make units out of my reactors second. That way it prioritizes Marauders in the only buildings that can make Marauders, and then Marines can be made in everything, but it will make Marines make only in reactors if the tech labs are filled up. So, because it's like smart building essentially. The AI will go, oh, well, let's prioritize the reactors with these Marines. So what's going to happen is for now, it's literally DDAA. We're done. But as we get later on into more barracks, once you have like 8 reactors or 10 reactors, you can literally go like hold down the D key and then hold down the A key instead of hitting D, 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 A, 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 you know what I mean? Like if you just hold the keys down, it's much faster. So later on, you want to hold down D first and then hold down A after. And you want to hold down each one for about like 1 to 2 seconds. And then once we make all of our barracks units, all you got to do then is hit tab and hit DD again. Because if I go DDAA tab DD, what happens is I make Marauder, Marine, tab to starport selection, and now I can make DD for 2 medevacs.
So I've done 5, 6, 7 for barrack, factory, med. Should I retrain myself to just have them all in one?
I would say have it all in one. There's no reason not to. Okay. And it like, for instance, like how comfortable do you feel hitting like 6, 7, 8 on the keyboard or something like that? Does you feel like you're accurate, or do you feel like you have to look at the keyboard, or sometimes it takes you a little bit?
I have a tiny Razer laptop, so it's not a big stretch, but on a bigger keyboard, it will be a stretch. Okay.
But I would say it's a good habit to like to save yourself hotkey space, because having your production on 4 and hitting just tab is super easy. There's nothing. It's not hard at all to hit tab and then go DD, and then you're done. Same thing with factory. If there was a factory in here, factory would be 2nd priority. Medevac starport would be 3rd priority. So let's say you're making tanks, it would be 4 DD AA tab S for tank, tab DD for medevac. You're done. And if you ever deselect and reselect, so if you hit like 1, 5, whatever, like if you select your Marines, select your army, select your command centers, whatever the fuck you select, if you go back to 4, it will always restart no matter what your previous select. So if like, for instance, I want to make sure you understand this. If like you hit 4 tab and you were like currently selected on the fucking factory, and you have medevacs or starports in there and barracks in there, but you were currently selected on the factory, if you deselect it and then reselect group 4 again, it will always start on the barracks, no matter what. So the sequence always starts the same every time. It's not like you have to figure out where you left off last time. Does that make sense?
That's fair. Yeah, but do I have to unselect, or will it just magically, if I hit 4 again, it'll go back to the barracks?
It'll go back to the barracks every time.
Okay.
It always starts in the barracks.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And now our third's down, so we're going to rotate a bunch of SCs over. And now we're getting attacked, so you can be like, oh, cool, let's stim pack our army. And literally, at this point, I'm going to pause really fast. At this point, all I did was I see an attack is hitting my base. I stim packed my bio, and I A-moved towards his army. That's it. And I'm going to immediately, like, I'm not going to micro my army anymore. I am not going to stare at this fight anymore. This is what I need you to do for yourself and train yourself to not do. Do not look at the fight anymore. Because if you look at the fight, you're not going to build depots. You're not going to build units. You're not going to build your upgrades. You're not going to build your armory. You're not going to build SCVs. You're not going to build your next command center. You are just not going to build shit because you're going to stare at the fight and go, am I winning or am I losing? And do I need to start microing a little bit here? Should I focus fire? Should I stutter step? None of that matters. And the reason why none of that matters is because you are setting up the fight where you're fighting behind a depot wall anyways. Like, it's irrelevant. So, but microing your bio is the worst thing you can do. Like, for now. That comes later, once you're, like, in Diamond League. For now, it's just macro. So I'm glad that we just got attacked here because I'm really, this is how you should do it. Just stim pack. That's all. Just stim pack once, and fuck it. Like, that's it. Stim pack, A-move, you're done.
If it was a jerk with a tank, you would still do the same thing. It was if it was a few Marines run forward and a tank behind it, still just stim and hit to the other end of the behind the tank and see how much you can get.
Yes, and the reason why is because I'm telling you right now, this is a very, very serious fact. Players that are not in Diamond League, like I'll say this: if you're in Masters League, you can macro at like 90% efficiency. GM is like 100% efficiency. Masters is like 90%. Diamond is like 80%. Platinum is like 70%. Every league, it just goes down by like 10%. And if you're playing in Gold League, you're playing around 50% efficiency. So even though it seems weird where you're like, oh shit, what if he has like a siege tank? And what if he like starts killing my Marines? Because Marines get shit on by siege tanks. If you're playing a good macro build in Gold League, you seriously will have like if you're like at 75 supply, your opponent will have like 50 at that point. They'll have developed a much slower pace than you. And especially if they're doing things like going for a siege tank timing. And they're like, not only am I going to go for gas heavy builds, but on top of that, I'm going to try and set up micro-based attacks with it. It is so fucking just off with how everything's being executed. So basically, the point is even though it seems on paper that like your units are going to get countered by what he might have, you're just going to have so much of what you have because ideally, if you're following the rules correctly and you're focusing on macro, you're not missing macro and you're going to have way more than your opponent does. Because I'm telling you right now, anyone in Gold League who fucking micros or anyone who like tries to do awkward builds that are gas focused will have the worst army supply of all time. It'll just look like garbage. So that is like a lot of people don't believe me when I say that, and then once they're like, oh, what the fuck? Why do you always have like 100 supply lead in like every game you play and beat a gym? It's because of fucking macro. It's because people don't macro in lower leagues.
Yeah.
So
I do think there's a lot of smurfs or stuff like that. I want to say that there's a lot of people that do play much better than I expect in Gold. I get really surprised. I think.
Sure.
I think some games go that way, but I think a lot of games we do have some good people in there.
It could happen, but in general, if you micro, you're fucking yourself. You're actually ruining yourself more than your opponent. It seems weird, but you are because here's why. StarCraft 2 is you never do one or the other. Like you never ever micro or macro. You always macro and then you multitask both. So that's how it's supposed to work. So a lot of people think micro and macro is like two sides to a coin, and they're like, well, here I can micro, and there I can macro, and here I can micro. No, anyone who thinks that way is wrong. Macro is literally just always happening the entire game. It never stops. And if it does stop, you're fucking up. You're playing poorly. It's supposed to never stop, and then you're supposed to be able to handle, while you literally can't do anything with your macro, you can add in spurts of micro. So that's what's supposed to happen. And players in Gold League who micro, they tunnel vision that shit and they just don't macro. That's why I really don't want you to do it.
Okay, no, that's fair.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just a move, and then we're going back to macroing right away. So now, while behind this, we got our third base setting up. We got depots being made. We are dropping mules for that base. We're making a turret. We can now start another command center. We can start a couple more barracks in the meantime, and we can transfer even some SVs from our main to our third base because we're a little oversaturated. And yeah, we're just still making Marauders, still making Marines, still making Medevacs, and so on and so on. And now, if you notice what I just did with my third base, I just made like a depot wall that covered the outside, essentially. So now, for him to attack me, he has to go through the inside of where my base is, if that makes sense. So now I can reposition my army to like here. So now it covers both my bases. Because now my army can also move to a more exposed location because it's larger. Okay. And then we're going to start a armory. So we can go into, what's it called? We can go into the next fucking upgrades. We got our next command center almost done. This is looking good. Okay, and then we'll transfer over some more SCVs. That base is fully saturated. We'll get some gases going at it. We're going to go ahead and add on another tech lab and reactor on these barracks up here. And we're good to go. And to be honest, now our supply is going to open up a bit for the command center finishing here in just a second. And then we're getting ready to start another base. So let's go lift this off and take another base. We can start another command center, and we can start 2 more barracks with another new command center. So now we're making, again, more, stuff here. We can start adding in more depots in the other side, where our new command center is going to be located. We can start walling off, like, that little entrance to the base over there, which would be totally fine. And we're almost done making depots here. We're at the very end of it here. And we can start our upgrades, and we're good to go. So when these depots are all done, we'll be maxed out with our supply. And to be fair, we went pretty slow with depot production this game. We could definitely speed it up in the future. So, but in general, the general idea is you're just literally making your depot walls, and you're just sitting here behind your base. You're fucking turtling, essentially. Now, once you're at this point, too, when you're like 180, almost maxed out, we're going to take 1 medevac, and we're going to have your whole army just kind of stop and not just chill in the base, but take 1 medevac, and you're going to, like, go for, like, his natural, for instance. Or you go around to the edge of the map, literally. That's what you really should do. So we're going to go base to base with it. It'll make more sense in a second here. Once we get to it. But again, all we're doing as well, there's so much shit I gotta talk about. Let me just pause it really quick and just, because we're getting kind of caught up here. So, first things first, bases. 3 orbital commands for the main natural third, and from that point on, every base we take is just going to become planetary, 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 until we own every fucking base that's left on our side of the map, okay? We're also going to make turrets in those bases as we take those bases. So it's going to be planetary turret, planetary turret, planetary turret. And easy peasy. From that point on, with our economy, we're just going to try and maintain moving our workers around to like all the bases that we have that need to be saturated. So we're not going to leave 16 workers in our main base when it has no patches, and 16 workers in our natural when it has no patches. We're going to always continuously send SCVs to the new base. Likewise, when we send SCVs to the new base, as they start mining out, if we can maintain to do that, every time we take a new base and a fresh mineral line has set up, we're going to drop all of our existing mules we have at the new base. So always try to remember, every time you take a new base, like for instance, we just took our 4th, it just got set up, let's drop a bunch of mules at it. Fucking super nice. It's going to be super good at giving us a lot of economy, because it's going to be like a jackpot boost, essentially. So it's going to really increase our just overall production levels here that we can possibly maintain.
And stupid question, your side of the map, is it universal for most maps that you're like where you are right now, you're left as opposed to top? Because you could call what is your side of the map?
You mean top left?
Yeah, I mean, so you
We're the left side, essentially.
You're the left side because your natural is
so
going that way.
The way you want it, it's not based off main or natural placement entirely. The reason why the way it's always kind of based off of is look at the map and imagine if there was if you could fold over the map, like one part over the other part of the map, it would be a mirror of itself. Where would you draw the line for the mirror? Every map has its own version of this. So like no map in this game is like the whole map is just unique. It's just randomly shit everywhere. The way everyone makes maps in StarCraft 2 is they make half the map and then they mirror it on the other half of the map. So wherever that magic line is, and on this map, if you look at it, it's like if you if you go to the very top, like the very top horizontal line, so the very top side of the map, about 60% over on from like the left to the right. So if you're starting on the top left, go 60% across. That's exactly where the line would start, and then you do the exact same thing on the bottom. So if you now you go to bottom right and you go 60% towards the left, that would be where the bottom line would be. So it's like a slight diagonal line going to the left from the, like if you go to top middle a little bit to the right, it goes diagonal a little bit to the left, to the bottom middle a little bit to the left. Does that make sense? I feel like I might have explained that like shit, but
yeah, it's
yeah, like it basically
it is truly symmetrical both ways. If you cut it, you could make a line both ways, and it's kind of symmetrical both ways, right?
Yeah, like honestly, if you just go a little bit to the right of your expansion, that's to the right of your main base. So the very top expansion on the map for you, like it's the base that's still fogged out on the top side. If you have a line going straight down from there, the map is mirrored again. On both sides.
Okay, cool.
You both have 7 bases, or sorry, 6 bases. Or wait, was it? It's 7. Yeah, 7 bases,
right, including your main.
Yeah, it's 7.
Yeah.
So 6 extra expansions. Yeah, and then yeah, it's again every map works like this. So you because of this, your side of the map is the left side of the map, and his side of the map is the right side of the map, and so on and so on. It doesn't have to be. And the thing is too, is it doesn't have to be so specific either, where it's like I gotta know exactly where to build my bases. You're just going to expand on bases around your base, essentially. And then if you look at it and you go, well, one of these bases is super close and one of these bases is super far away, maybe I'll just stay super close, go to the base that's super close. That's an easy way to look at it. Another way to look at it is if you fly a command center towards a base and you go, oh, what the fuck? He owns that. He actually has that base. Just fly your command center to a different base that he doesn't own and go kill that base, essentially. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I was just wondering because the fourth was kind of farther than the other one on the top, so I was just kind of wondering what the logic there was going to the bottom versus to the right.
It's honestly, it doesn't really matter. Like, just take your first 3 bases, okay? Where you always try to go for that cliff base, where you can have your tanks cover the third. From that point on, take whatever base you want. It does not matter.
Okay, cool.
And also, what I'm going to tell you to do as well, I think I kind of made a mistake here telling you about the depot thing. For the 4th base, that is, once you have your first 3 bases, which are the orbital commands, covered in depots. So the main is covered because you do the ramp going down to the natural. The natural is covered because you do the wall that goes into the natural. The 3rd base is covered because you do the outside of where the 3rd is, and you cover the outside mineral part, so only the inside is exposed. Once you do those 3, build the rest of your depots in your main base. You do not have to build your depots like I did here at the 4th base, and the reason why is because the 4th base is going to be a planetary anyways, and it's self-sufficient. So only do depots for orbitals. I should not have done the depot thing for the 4th base here. It's when I was doing it, I was like, I'm kind of fucking my supply up as well, so that's disregarded. Just start making depots in your main base once you have your 3rd base covered, and then you're fine.
Okay. All right, that's fair.
Yeah, and you don't need to make many anyways, because as you can see, we made 5 depots and we're maxed in supply. So it's going to be only a couple more depots after your 3rd. And then from that point on, yeah, so now I kind of explained the bases to you. Now we're talking about the drop. What you can do with the drop is you can move the drop base to base to base. And you can like shift move it, shift move it, shift move it, and as soon as you recognize your drop is flying into a base that exists, drop that base and stim pack your bio. And that's it. You just like attack the mineral line essentially. Do not micro it at all. Just drop it, stim pack it, forget about it. Make sure it's near the mineral line. Like move the mineral line essentially, and then you're done. And I don't even ever want you to look at that drop again. It's gonna die, but that's totally fine because it's such a minor investment for you, and it keeps your opponent defensive, and it also is indirectly scouting where your opponent is. Like it's scouting where you want to eventually attack. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
It's behind the mineral line, not between the mineral line and the command center. It's behind the mineral line.
I don't care where you put it. Just make sure your guys are shooting the mineral line essentially. So if you do inside or behind the mineral line, either way is fine.
Okay, cool.
It's just really to make your opponent feel pressured. That's the main reason why you do it. And it's also for scouting. So now if our drop scouts and we go, okay, where is this guy's base? And let's say you finally see where your opponent's base is, and his base is at the natural base, just like that. And you're like, okay, cool. Like again, it would just be like, okay, let's drop the base. Let's say it's gonna die. Who gives a shit? You're gonna drop it. I don't want you to worry about it. Like, I don't want you to waste time looking at that medevac. If it dies, it dies. And from there, you know, you're going to go set up an attack, and here's what you're going to do. You're going to A-move your army just outside his base. Like, look at where I'm going to scan the map. Like, right there. You're going to A-move it right there, just to let your army group up right there. In the meantime, while your army's doing that, you're going to go back to your base, and you're going to make sure you keep building all your stuff. So keep making command centers, keep making barracks, keep making your production as you need it, keep doing your upgrades, make sure those are all still good. Look at your SCV count. If you're not 80 yet, keep making SCVs, and if you are 80, you can stop. And stuff like, and so on and so on. You can even keep making command centers like this as well. At this point in the game, you could be like, you know what? I have a lot of money. Let's throw down command centers like at the command centers, at the location where I'm going to build them, because that's totally fine. Now, you have two choices here. Your army's ready to go. Your macro needs to keep going. Okay. So again, minimal micro, mostly macro. We're obviously not able to make Marines and Marauders right now because we're maxed out. But what we can do is we can prepare to make more because we have a lot of money, and if our army's about to die, we want to be able to remake them faster. So what we're going to do is, just before we take this fight, we're going to look at our barracks count up to this point, and we're going to go how many until we hit 15. And then we're going to make that many more. We're just going to go, okay, cool, let's just make, if I'm at 7, I'm going to make 8 more. Cool. And then again, if you're off by like 1 or 2 barracks, if you're like, shit, I fucked it up, I made 17 racks, or shit, I made 16 racks, or I made 14 racks, it's fine. Just as long as you're in that good, like, double-digit range where it's like 15, 16, whatever, something around there. It's just as long as it's a good amount. And then once we have a lot of barracks, again, you want to roughly estimate what is 1/3 of these in tech labs, and make the other 2/3 of these reactors. If we make all of these just before we take the fight, again, you're just starting the barracks, and then you're going to take the fight, and then you're going to worry about add-ons after. It'll allow you to remax a lot faster. And then while we're doing this, we're going to look at our mineral lines and go, are there oversaturated mineral lines? Can we fix this? Where can we send them to? All of these new bases we just made. Are there upgrades that need to be started? Let's fix that. Let's start upgrades 3-3. Things like that. Like, that's all we're doing right now. We do not give a fuck about the army. All we're going to do is... So now that's what we're going to do. We're going to spend a lot of our time doing what I just said with the macro. Now when it comes to army, all we're going to do is we're going to scan one more time directly at the location where we're just about to attack. So you notice as well, I scanned before. So I did 2 scans. The first scan was where I wanted to send my army just outside of his base. The reason why that's important is because, number 1, I know I'm not, like, I see what's going on there and it's a safe location. But number 2, even furthermore, to go on top of that, if there was something there, I would A-move maybe a little bit before that. So the worst thing you can do is, like, have your guys single file walk into a fight. You do not fucking want to single file your army into a fight. That is terrible. Because if you're like, I'm going to engage this fight for 12 seconds because my army's going to be in single file line for 12 seconds as they all run in and die into like a wood chipper. You don't want that at all. That's really bad. What you want to do is you want to ball your army up just before the fight, just where, like, before where you're going to attack something, and now you're there, and then you go in with everything at once. Makes the fight so much better for you. So that's why we scanned the first time, because we know we're not going to run into death while we get there. The second time we scan, it's going to be just before we take the fight again. This allows you to time your stim pack just as the fight starts, and it allows you to make sure you're not walking into fucking death, essentially. So does that make sense? What I'm saying, how do you feel about what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, it's like scanning once before you take the fight is a great idea. It allows you to know, okay, this is not a stupid ass choice here. Like, we're good.
And your mech game, here's a quick question. On your mech game, you kind of send your Hellions around.
This time it's medevacs.
Okay, so the medevac kind of played that role at least on one side.
And you're gonna keep doing it every time when you're in the phase of building an army. You're gonna keep doing that one medevac, and you're gonna alternate sides of the map. So we just did the top side of the map, and we saw nothing. Now we're gonna poke the guy's base, and then if we don't win the game here, and we rebuild an army, we're gonna have another medevac go on the bottom side of the map. And you're gonna keep going, literally over and over and over and over. And then as the game progresses as well, do not feel shy or do not feel hesitant to just go, cool, let's take another. If I have a lot of money, let's expand again to his side of the map now, on his edges of the base, like top right essentially, or bottom middle. Take another fucking base there. Just go build it, and be like, if he lets me finish it and I make it planetary, how about I start dropping all of my mules at his economy, and I'll just steal all of his money. Like, that's a great way to fucking play it. Because again, the point is you're making your opponent feel defensive, even though you're putting minimal investment into it the whole time. So again, all I'm going to do is I'm going to scan his base. I'm then going to A-move my army towards it, and I'm going to stim pack as soon as the fight starts, and I'm going to literally never touch it again. I'm not going to stim twice. I'm not going to stim 3 times. I'm just going to do it once and done, and I'm going to go back to macroing and making sure I can rebuild an army really fast. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to scan ahead. I see where we're going to go, so I'm going to A-move right in front of the base, get my army balled up, just like this. I am now going to A-move into his base, stim in, and shift A-move into his main. I'm done now microing my army. Now I'm going to go back to my base, and I'm going to look at my barracks count. I have, and I know we're getting attacked, but who cares? I have 9 barracks, so let's make another like 5 or 6 or something. Make it wherever the hell you want. Let's make it over here at my 4th base. We just made 5 more racks. Good shit. Now we're losing supply, so let's remake supply. We need to have 2 more tech labs, or sorry, 1 more tech lab to get to 5 tech labs, and we're gonna make every other barracks now a reactor. Let's make some medevacs, and just keep making units. And look at these tanks; they are fucking destroying this counterattack. So tanks are super good. They just fix things. Let's go fix that command center that died. How many SCVs just died? Quite a bit. So let's remake some SCVs now. So, because you can mouse over top right your supply, and you're like, oh, I'm at 70 SCVs. Let's fix that. Let's start making SCVs again. To, make sure we're good. And this is all you're doing. Like the army is doing whatever it's doing on his side of the map, and you're just remaking medevacs, marines, and marauders. And you're going into 3/3 upgrades. You can go into vehicle weapons for your armory, so your medevacs are stronger. They don't die as easy, and stuff like this. And then you can take another command center, go take another base with it. Take another command center, build it in your main base, get ready to lift it off. Take these bases on the bottom, make them planetaries, make missile turrets at all of our planetaries we own. Make sure our mineral lines are all saturated. Main base could be fixed. Natural can definitely be fixed. 3rd base is rebuilding. Send it to like a 4th base in the top middle or some shit. That's all you do. This is all you do all game. You just fix economy, remax, remax, remax. And right now we have 5 tech labs and 10 reactors. Or sorry, we actually have 14. We have 5 tech labs and 9 reactors. So we could actually make like 2 more racks or something. And that'd be fine. Does it make sense?
With going bio, since it's in principle a little gas cheaper, are you still going 80 workers or
yes, always
or
80 workers. 80 workers. Yep.
Okay.
And you want to have with this build, you want to have about 6 active gases running the whole time. So
okay,
like your main, you want to get main natural 3rd running the whole time, and then as soon as you're like gas depleted, and you're like, okay, I am actually out of gas in my main. How about I take gas at like my 4th base? This build is not that gas expensive. It's only gas expensive in the phase of the upgrades and making the add-ons, but once you have all those expenses done, they're like one-time expenses. Gas is going to be super cheap because all it is then is marauders and medevacs, and you're not going crazy amounts of marauders and medevacs. You're actually making mostly marines. So, how are you feeling?
No, good. Like again, I struggled this week trying the other mech build, and I kind of was getting the hang of it, but I did feel a little naked with my good old marine. So
yeah, right.
I'm kind of happy he bearing back that way, to be honest.
Yeah, no, that build, I'm gonna have you do it now yourself, and I'm gonna see how well you do, and I'll walk you through it as well. But this build in general, it's the idea is you can constantly remax, and you can just keep the pressure on your opponent by you do a big wave of attack, you do a drop in between, you do a big wave of an attack, you do a drop in between, you do a big wave of attack. It just repeats itself over and over and over, and you just set up the map more and more as it goes with more PFs, more turrets, and more production for yourself. Eventually, to a point where you have, like, honestly, if you feel like you have a lot of money and you're not able to remax fast enough either, you could literally take it all the way to like 22 barracks and like 2 starports. Again, if you're doing starports, it's like double reactor. If you're doing tech lab or barracks, again, if you have like, let's say you have 22 barracks, 1/3 tech lab, 2/3 reactor. Again, it does not have to be perfect. So let's say 7 tech labs and 15 reactors. Fine. That's just the general idea. But maximum, I would say, is in the 20 plus. So like 20 to 24. Don't go above that. That's way too much at that point.
And for gold, do you build anything else to supplement it, like a Raven? If
nope.
There's
Definitely not. Nope. Do not ever do that. That's also why you scan. So when you take the fight and you scan ahead and you're like, oh shit, he's got fucking DTs. I see DTs there. scan. You could, when you stim pack in, do another scan. Just do a second scan as you take the fight. You got to realize though, like a lot. This is where again, I want you to understand this concept because a lot of people do not realize that this is what is important. Winning the game with your first attack is not your goal here. If it happens, that's fucking great, but that's not how you're supposed to look at StarCraft. If you play StarCraft that way, you are going to be a low league player forever. The way you should look at StarCraft is it's a race that never ends, and the first person to fall off like apart and just like collapse is the loser. So it's not about your first attack. It's not about the second attack. It's not about the third attack. It's not about the fourth attack. It's not about the fifth attack. It's about all of them consecutively happening, and it never ends until the map runs out of money. Like, so it's attack number 1 is not supposed to kill them. It's supposed to weaken them. Attack number 2 is not supposed to kill them. It's supposed to weaken them. Attack number 3 is not supposed to kill them. It's supposed to continuously weaken them and weaken them. And if you can keep a pace consistently that is faster than your opponent and better than your opponent, one of you is going to eventually just go, oh, okay, I'm dead. So that's just how the game goes. That's how it's supposed to be played.
And do you have a rough benchmark on how does the I want to say for gold, do you have like a max out at 1030 or 1040? Is bio any faster, slower? Doesn't matter.
It's well, all of it like bio and mech is kind of similar, but use the replay I just gave you, save it, and that's your benchmark right there.
Okay.
Because the one I just gave you is a very it's a very fair gold max like that. If you could max out the way I did that last game, you will definitely be able to push yourself to Diamond League maxing. That is much more efficient maxing than you'll ever see in Gold League or
less than 3 ounce power C plugin to add a third XD.
So, yeah. Anyways, leave that game right now and grab the replay for so go to replays and just make sure you save it. So make sure like it's me versus the AI. It'll be your most recent replay at the top of the list. Just save it and call it like ViBE bio example or something, and that way you have it for yourself. And now try to recreate it yourself here.
All right, so so I exit here and then I go to custom.
I can make the game. Did you save the replay already?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I already renamed it.
Okay, so I'll make the game for you now, and now I'm watching you play this one.
All right, all I have to do was rename it, right? And then
that's it. Yeah, then you have it. Then it'll be saved. Yeah. That way, that's the way it's not lost. It's like Light Shade 48 or some shit. You're like, what the fuck? Okay, so I'll give you AI. Give you Protoss. Okay, ready?
Yeah, ready.
Okay, so I'll walk you through the build. And then, yeah, I'll just, if you have any questions about anything, I'll try to answer it for you. But, yeah, let's,
okay, cool.
Let's see how this goes. And I'll give you the initial build, too. Because the initial build is kind of important. But then it kind of becomes easy peasy. Like, Command Center, double racks. So first, SCV, rally it to the ramp. And build a depot as soon as the SCV spawns. Now, while you're waiting, stack your close patches. Grab a close one, perfect. Now do one more. Okay, so you always try to grab one SCV per patch. Don't try to grab 2 off of a patch. So you actually grab 2 off the same patch, and then that patch is not being mined at all.
Oops.
So put another far one on like the other far one. If that like take one of the middle ones and put it on the other middle one. Okay.
So take one of the middle ones. Oops.
Okay. Put now if you can put one of the so you see the 2 in the middle? How there's like 3 mining. Take one off and put it on the very bottom patch now. All right, you're fine. Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's okay. It's okay. So okay, now make a barracks, then make a gas. Sorry, I feel like you're like, what is happening right now?
Yeah, I'll have to figure out what the middle was.
Okay. The very middle is the very center patch on the middle line, but it's okay.
All right, so now this is the.
So yeah, now do that.
Yeah.
And then you can shift right click in middle line. And now, okay, now just put your okay. Take the SUV. Put your pause the game for a second. Sorry, just oops. I don't want you to get fucked up.
That was my Explorer, wasn't it? Oh no! What did I do?
Again, dude. Okay. So okay. Let me just explain this to you. You can do the command center or the SCV. Either one works. But if you do the command center, you have to set it all up before the SCV spawns. Because if you keep setting up the command center after the SCV is already spawned, it won't matter. The SCV won't respond to what the command center is telling it to do. The command center only the SCV will only respond to what the command center has told it to do if all the commands have been initiated before the SCV is already out. Because like an SCV will not respond to a command center after it's already spawned. So
Yes, what I normally do is right after I build I start the refinery. I pick one of the mining ones, and then right click it over there and control one it. So I was a little confused because I do it that way. And
Okay,
I'm
that's
just
you know what? If you want to do it that way, it's fine. I'm not gonna be
okay.
like
Cool.
it's terrible. You can do it that way too. It's okay. Just
Okay,
all you want to
Steve,
do is
sorry
just
about
have all you want to do is have one
that.
SCV right click his mineral line, and then
Uh-huh.
shift right click back to your mineral line. So because again, I do not want you to
Mhm.
look at the scout, like really that much. I don't want you to like. The last thing
Yeah.
I want you to, because again, it's multitasking. I do not want you to actually control the SCV and go through his base and be like, "What is this? How much gas you got? What are you building? What's going on
Yeah.
over there? What are you hiding? Where's your shit at? Let me scout for proxies." And you like have 500 minerals while you don't even have a command center started, and you haven't even started like mining more than one on gas. Like I don't want you to fuck your own build up because you will. Most like people just do when they're not really like. If you can't look at a guy's base and like snap your fingers and know what is happening, it means you're gonna fuck your build up because you're gonna take way too long to figure things out. And the thing is, I'm gonna start another game as I explain this
Okay. Cool.
because some people don't realize. Well, I also need to learn scouting, don't I? Isn't that important? Like, yes, it is important, but if for you to scout someone, you have to ruin your own build. No, it's not important then. What you have to be able to do when you scout someone is you have to be able to look at their base while not fucking your own build up. And if you cannot do that, you should not scout. Which again, I would say diamond is like the cutoff there. Like diamond players generally can scout someone and not ruin their entire build. But anyone below that, a lot of times they'll be like, "What is this? What is that? What are you doing? I'm gonna poke your fucking probe with an SCV really fast. Yeah, how's that feel? I want to mine your patch." And then it's like, "I have not been macroing for the last 28 seconds. Okay, that sucks."
Yeah.
Like that's just what they
To be
do.
honest, if I don't see an expansion in this Terran, for example, I immediately build two bunkers, and I probably
Exactly.
sometimes it's not a thing, and I slow myself down just because I mean, I think playing the mind games, right? Which maybe in the future is okay, but right now I just
Yeah,
slow
no,
me
it should
down.
not be happening because you have
Yeah.
to just get macro down first. That's the priority. All right, so uh, try your best to stack close patches, but still leave one SCV per far patch. Because there's 8 SCVs, or sorry, there's 8 patches, 4 close, 4 far, and there's 12 SCVs. So you can have 4 on far patches and 8 on close patches.
Mm-hmm.
Good job. That was perfect. Do it one more time for the other patch. And, oh, okay. Actually, okay. So we'll talk about it more in a minute. Focus on your build instead. Just keep practicing it. If you don't time it properly, the SCV will go back and be like, "Oh, I can't mine there yet." Just it's something to practice. I'll say that. Just always practice it. And then okay, so now your depot's almost done. So get ready to build your racks and your gas. So build your gas.
Now this is the one that goes over here.
Yep. And again,
And,
no, you can't do it now.
shift click it.
So you didn't do it. So now just right click your command center back to the middle line really fast.
Mhm.
Because you did the shift rally before, like after the SCV already spawned. So now take the SCV and do the same thing. Make another SCV really fast first. Make another SCV. That's priority. Perfect. Now you can shift rally this SCV. Okay, you did it. Cool.
Oh, whoops. Yes. All right.
All right, now saturate your gas with 2 SCVs. Now don't forget to hit C. Oh, it's okay. It's gone. And so like if you grab that SCV with minerals in its hand, remember to hit C so you return that mineral. Now take this SCV building the racks, walk down to the natural, take an orbital command. So orbital command is first priority, Reaper second priority, and then command center third priority. So make a Reaper out of your barracks. Perfect. Now take another SCV off the mineral line and go build a depot. Now when you start now what you're going to do is as soon as the Reaper's done, you're going to make a reactor, and as soon as you make that reactor, make a barracks again.
Okay, cool.
Now, don't make sure that SCV comes back to the main too. Don't have it go to the natural.
Oops. Let's see. How can I undo the previous shift?
Just right click
previous,
right click the depot again with your SCV.
Okay. Oops.
Okay, now lower your other depot. Okay. Now make another barracks. Keep making SCVs. Okay.
Oops, I
Good
think
shit. make sure you do it with a mineral SCV. Make sure you don't take off the gas. I think you have 2 on gas now.
Yeah, I put one back right now.
Okay. Now make a factory and make your second gas. Keep making SCVs the whole time. So second gas. Good job. And then when that SCV is done building the orbital or the command center at the natural, start making depots at the natural and a wall that goes up the wall to wall it off. Now make an orbital too. Orbital priority all the time.
The little building on the right side of your big building's done.
Okay, start making Marines out of that reactor. And saturate your gas in your main with 2 SCVs that just finished. And keep making SCVs. Okay, and yeah, just wait now. Make a tech lab on both second racks and factory, and then make a starport when you can. And just keep making SCVs. What's your main mineral look like? Re-rally the main command center to your natural. There you go. Good job. And just keep producing. Never stop producing.
Add-on complete.
Make sim pack.
Oops.
And then keep making Marines. Keep making Marines and keep making SCVs. Now keep making depots as well. Make sure you don't stop doing that. Okay. Keep making depots. Or sorry, keep making Marines. Keep making SCVs. Get ready to make a siege tank. And drop a mule if you can at your natural. And like unless you have 50, it's like only 50. Okay, you only have 50. So like just save your mule now for the just in case you are like I don't want to die. Now make a medevac.
Don't make a medevac.
Yeah, make a medevac. Oh, so medevac last priority, but it's still important. Make Marines. Make SCVs. Now look at your mineral line at your natural. It's almost fully saturated. Or just kidding. Never mind. I thought it was closer than that.
Oops, I didn't save my thing, but
Okay. No, you're fine. I really think you're going to run into DTs. Very, very unlikely at this stage of the game. Okay, so build a depot. Get your tank set up. Keep making Marines. Keep making SCVs. Make another tank.
Ready for dust off.
Just try to keep maintaining production. And no react. Cancel that. Yeah. But in general, go ahead and pause it really fast, just for 1 second. So just really quickly, also don't hit quick game. Don't hit surrender.
Sorry. I guess you don't have to pause it here. I just hit this. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it's all good. So now basically, the idea is the way you can feel like your build's maybe going a little bit slow. Is this means you've missed production on a couple times, either on your SCVs or on your Marines or stuff like that. You should be hitting around 400 minerals by the time your natural command center has about 16 SCVs on it. So if you're hitting 600 minerals already when it only has like 10 SCVs, it means you've missed rotations of units here and there. So that's something to practice, obviously. Like it's just maintaining production 100% of the time. And like maintaining depot production 100% of the time. Like you're always building something. And then what's going to happen is if you ever find yourself in a situation where you're like, ah, shit, I have a lot of minerals. I'm like not fully saturated on the natural yet, but I have enough to make a command center. I have like a lot more than enough. I have almost 700 and it only takes 400 to make a command center. At this stage, if this happens to you, just make one now. So don't be afraid to make it a tiny bit early. But you're still going to do everything else based off of, you're going to take your other 2 gases. When you're done making your second tank, you're going to take another, like, so you're going to lift off the factory when tank 2 is done. Yeah, that's when you're going to take barracks number 3 on that tech lab. And that's also when you're going to take reactor on the starport. And that's also when you're going to take 2 engineering bays. So all those things happen based off the second tank. And that's that's ideally your SCVs should be good though as well. Like hopefully you're not missing like 14 SCVs because you just never built SCVs. You know what I mean? But yeah, like when you're done building second tank, all that shit should happen. So 2 engineering bays, 2 gas, lift off factory, put a barracks in place of it, make a reactor and starport. And then also your third command center.
That's a lot of stuff at that point, yeah.
Yeah, so you're doing something with all your shit. You're doing something with the upgrades. You're doing something with the gas. You're doing something with the barracks, with the factory, with the starport. So, there's like 5 things happening at that one point in time. So do it as fast as you can, and remember, it's just double gas, double engineering bay, rotate a new barracks into that, like build a new barracks into the factory rotated spot, make a reactor on starport.
Okay.
And then third command center as well is like either started early before that or after that based on 400 minerals. Once you have 400 minerals that you can't spend, make that third CC.
Okay.
Okay. And then
All right, so I'll do that next.
tank number 2. Also, tank number 2. The last thing I said that was important.
Uh-huh.
Put it in front of your, like, put it where your Marines are, essentially. Put it behind the depot wall in your natural. So if you get all in right now, it's not just way out of position. And then once you take your third and you, like, lift off the command center to take your third, unsiege that one, only that one tank, and put it above the cliff above your third. And then you're done with tanks all game. Remember? And then from the and then once you do this, once you do all of this, start making Marauders off the tech labs and make Marines as well. So up to this point, it's been just Marines. But now that you're going into more gas, you can start making Marauder. Okay. So I'll make. So go for it, and if you miss something, I'll tell you.
Okay, cool. All right,
So third command center
Command
first.
center.
Good. Keep making SCVs. Keep making units. Don't stop making units. For still Marines for now.
Okay.
Keep making depots. So now start making depots at your third. If you're done making depots at your natural, because you're about to you're setting up your third now.
So you want to kind of
Like
make a wall
connect the
here.
wall to the side of the gas. Like do even lower than that, the bottom left of the gas,
Finished.
because they can go behind the
Okay.
gas. Yeah. So don't make a gap like that. Start from the bottom depot and work your way up.
Okay, it's what I guess kind of.
Also, you got to lower a
have to work
depot
up.
at your natural too, because you're walled in.
Oh shoot.
There you
Oh,
go.
yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
And then build your gas from the
This-
wall up. Don't do it off the gas. Do it off the wall and cover the gas with it.
Off the wall here.
Yeah, exactly. And then you can connect it to the command center.
Base is under attack.
Okay, so stim pack your bio and forget about it. Stim pack your bio. A move it and forget about it. Okay, and now keep making units. You haven't been units for a long time. So this is that moment where you would die to an all-in because of this kind of shit. So double
All right,
gas.
so
Don't even look at your army. I see that shit? That's a habit. Don't even fucking look at your army. Double gas. Double engineering bay.
double engineers.
Yep. Make your lift off that factory. Make a barracks. Add it. Make a reactor in your starport. Keep making units. Those racks have had like a fuckload of idle time in this last like 60 seconds, which is why your money's so high.
All right, so that's second.
And then lower that
that's
depot
on.
at your third, because your SCVs are like stuck for some reason at the third base. Go left. There you go. SCVs are like
Yeah.
trapped right
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Now keep
Yeah.
building towards where the command center would be. So build up and to the right a little bit. There you go. Good. And then
And this.
orbital command that third, or you lift it. That's fine. Land it at your third.
Okay.
Okay. Siege that tank. Keep making bio. Keep upgrading as well. So go back to your engineering base and upgrade your shit. Saturate those gases properly. So it does feel overwhelming, and it will feel this way for a long time, which is why I want you to fucking practice this. Just keep making units, make an orbital. You have to make units the whole time though. That is, if there's anything that you can't fuck up, it's that you have to make units. Connect the command center to those depots. There's a little bit of a gap on the left of it, on the third base. There you go. And now, just I would say keep building units. And now that your money's kind of high, start keep making units out of all your 3 racks in your starport. Start like concussive shells and combat shield as well out of those those tech labs.
DCs upgraded.
Just keep making units. Medevac and barracks still not making unit. You have 2 things not selected. Like the 1 racks is still not making a unit. There you go. You can just hockey them all together. Honestly, you're still missing a hockey. Like you're doing the thing where you're doing like 3 different groups. I would say just add it in.
Oh yeah.
And pause the game really fast. Like select 4 and pause or select 5 or whatever. Do you have 5 selected really fast? Like I want to make sure you have all your production selected.
Yeah, so I have 5 things on my production.
so
for
this-
5, 4 I do command centers. Is it okay if I do 4 for command centers?
Yeah, I don't give whatever number you
It's
want to
fine.
do is fine. I don't give a shit what number it is. I just want you to
Yeah.
have all your production on one hotkey that you're going to use. And here's another reason why it's important that I didn't even say. If you have it on like 5, 6, 7, if you're on barracks, you're on barracks. And sure, you made barracks units, but you're kind of guessing when shit needs to be made. But if you have it all in one group and you're using tab now to cycle between them, look at what you can see. You can see white dots in all the buildings. And now you know, oh, I'm making 2 medevacs right now because there's 2 white dots in it. So if your eyeballs look down in the bottom middle of the screen, you can know you're actually building shit. And it's not like, well, am I? I don't know. I got to hit 7 to find that out. It just takes less time to figure out if you're macroing properly. So that's a huge reason. Like your eyeballs, a lot of times should be when you go between 4 and 5, 4 and 5, 4 and 5. You should be looking at your SCV white boxes because you have multiple commands that are selected, and you should be looking at your barracks and your starport white boxes to making sure you're producing. Like your eyeballs should be there like 50% of the game, literally. like the whole game, 50% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
You should be looking there so often, being like, am I? Yep, 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 yep. And if you, and the best way to do it as well is once you have a good amount of money, like right now, for instance, stack it. Be like, okay, every time I'm making one SCV, make 2 white boxes per command center. So I always have a backup SCV. So if I don't have 2, make 2. So if I'm currently on 111 on every command center, I'll go SSS, and now every command center has 2 white boxes, which means there's always one thing in queue. Always one thing in queue. The same thing with the barracks. If you have a reactor, try to have like 4 boxes because it makes 2 at a time. So you have 2 Marines in queue, like bonus in the queue. And if you're on 2 boxes and 2 tech labs, the T for the, because the T is tech lab, A is, or the R is reactor. It looks like an A kind of, but that makes no sense if it was A. But you get the point. But the 2 tech labs is 1 white box, so make 2 of them in it. So it's two per single production and 4 per double production, if that makes sense. And then you just always maintain that 4, 5, 4, 5, always making sure everything is doubled up. Because and again, once you get really good at the game, you can go singles and make sure you're always like doing it perfect. But for now, having just 1 backup is a great way to never fuck up your production. It's so much better than having nothing producing and you're like, well, I have 1,500 resources right now. Oh shit.
Yeah, that's too much.
Yeah. So now what you want to do is, your money's kind of high, and remember, you're not stopping the build now. You're making another command center. You're making more racks with that command center. And so every command center you make from after this point on, after you have made your 3rd command center, starting at command center number 4, CC double racks, CC double racks, CC double racks, and then you go into you do this until you're maxed, and then once you're maxed out, make however many racks you want to make that's left, because you have a lot of money then, and you can just make the rest. And then so your CC double racks, CC double racks. That's what you're doing. You're going to be setting up depots in your main base that are not supply block now, whenever you need the supply, which is not going to be for a little while, and then also armory to start going to continue your upgrades further. And while all this goes on, maintain production. Okay, so you're getting closer. Your SCVs still need to go for a while. Your bio needs to go all game. It's, yeah. So whenever you're ready, resume it and just keep going with it.
Okay, cool.
Also, one tip: at the start of the game, when you're making the CC double racks, every time you do double racks, make 1 tech lab, 1 reactor, until you have, because you'll max out before this finishes. So you're making 50-50 tech lab reactor every time you make a CC, but by the time you max out, when you make like 6 more racks at once, it's pretty much all going to be reactors. So ideally, you want to have 1/3 tech lab, 2/3 reactor. But you're making reactors and tech labs like at an even pace up until you max, and then you finish off all your reactors at once. That's something I didn't mention before. That is very important.
Upgrade complete.
So can you say that one again? So up to the point where.
So when you make your 3 racks as the build has gone so far, it is always going to be the same. Like you make your reactor first off the Reaper. You never take it off. You make Marines all game out of that 1 racks. Your 2nd racks that had the initial tech lab makes Marines until you have the 2nd tank done. That's when you take more gas, and you can start making Marauders out of it. Okay? So, barracks 1, 2, and 3 are always the same. Like, it's 2 tech lab, 1 reactor. Then, barracks 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, those racks that come down that are paired with the command centers as you make 2 racks command center, 2 racks command center. Make it always 1 reactor, 1 tech lab. 1 reactor, 1 tech lab. 1 reactor, 1 tech lab. And the reason why you do this is because it gives you you're going to have a lot of like a Marine surplus, because you've been making Marines the longest, okay? Like you've been making Marines since like 5 minutes ago or 6 minutes ago. So you're making Marines forever. And if you make tech lab reactor, every time you make a command center right now, it'll kind of even out your Marauder Marine count the way it's supposed to be. That you will then max out, and when you max out, you will have a lot of your bank will go crazy. You'll have, because you're making this build is very macro heavy, so your money will fly up really fast, and you make however many barracks you want to make to get to that point where you feel comfortable. Like another 8 barracks, another 7 barracks, whatever. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just make a fuckload of barracks. Just throw down like 6 to 8 or something like that. Every barracks you make at that point, you're gonna make maybe like 1 more tech lab. Otherwise, all reactors. Is what I'm saying. So when you do that massive wave of barracks when you're maxed out, because that will give you an equal 2/3 reactor, 1/3 tech lab. If you're making reactor tech lab, reactor tech lab, reactor tech lab as you max out. So does all of that make sense as to why you do that?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so yeah, that's
you-
how it goes.
Okay, cool.
Job's done.
So make an armory as well when you
Five.
can. That way you.
Oops.
Also, I would say take that factory out of your group. You don't need it. You'll never use it anymore.
Okay. Is there a
Shift click it and then rebind the group.
Yeah. Control 5. Okay.
There you go. Don't forget an armory, and then make one of those one of those racks a tech lab, one of those racks a reactor. Oh, you made an armory. Just kidding. So do upgrades then. So you'd want to do two upgrades now. Top right of your natural.
Ready for dust
There you go.
off.
Oops.
So get armor on the tech lab. To get armor, don't get weapons on tech lab. Right, yeah, there you go. Perfect. Now go back to armory
I
and
screwed
get
up.
armor. Cancel that and get armor.
Oops.
There you go.
Okay.
Armor there. Perfect. Okay, so now take that command center you just made in the main base, lift it off, fly it to a new base, make another command center. This is going to become a planetary every time now. So make 2 more racks and a command center, and then keep producing out of everything you already have.
They're attacking your
Okay, so
base
A move
now.
your army at your 3rd base, and stim pack it.
Add-on
Just
spin.
A move army, stim pack, don't look at it. Stim pack, don't look at it. Now macro.
Okay.
Your barracks are not producing. There you go. Fix it. Now fix that starport.
Tab. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get used to this.
Yeah, no, I understand. It's okay. And look at your army. By the time you macro it there, you've already killed the army. So repair that command center, saturate your gas properly, and I would say now keep producing, but look at your bases really fast and send shit properly around bases you need to go to. Like, are there SCVs oversaturated anywhere? You could also use
11 out
mule
of 12
energy
is okay,
too.
right?
What's up?
11 out of 12 is okay, right? It's just like 1.
Yeah, it's fine. Now load up a medevac with one medevac with marines and just like shift move command it around a bunch of the bases on whatever side of the map you want to go to, left or right, does not matter. So go over there, that's fine, and go back to macroing. Keep macroing as much as you can. Make another command center, I would say, because the one you just made is probably about done. So lift that shit off, make another one, make 2 more racks. So another command center, 2 more racks, and be very careful when you build barracks. You need to leave enough room for an add-on, and you didn't actually do it on those racks you just made.
Oops. Yeah, but I probably need to.
Mineral field depleted.
X. Yeah, it's gonna have to fly. Yeah.
Yeah. And you can also make, at this point too, when you have a max supply, don't feel like you can now start taking command centers at the actual base. You can build it at the base. You don't always have to lift it off anymore. You just want to lift it off early when you're not really safe yet, but now you have a big army, so you're fine.
Add-on complete.
So build another command center and keep producing. And you just saw where his base was on that side. It's at the natural.
Bigger.
So now I would say grab your army. There you go. Grab your army. Now scan like at his other 3rd base you haven't seen yet. Okay. Now go A move just outside that. Because you see that's where his base is. So like right there. Perfect. Like where the bushes are essentially. Yeah, good. So A move your army up to there. Now build. How many barracks do you have? You have 9?
1, 2, 3.
There's always
that's
8. Yeah, there's 8 in a
Yeah,
row,
9.
and then you have 9. So I'll build like another 7 right now. Do like another 7 or 6 or something. Yeah, I was gonna say it doesn't matter where you build it. And now with these racks you just made, make like one of them a tech lab, and make the rest of them, or rather, sorry, make like the 2 tech lab, the 2 barracks you have in your main base. Just make like those both tech labs. Fuck it. Or that's
Oops,
okay.
that's good,
If you
that's
do that, it's fine. I don't give a shit. I just like I want you to just have the concept of now that you're maxed, just make sure you have like 5, 6 tech labs, and then all these racks are going to come down. Just be like hold down the reactor button and be like mass reactors.
Mineral field depleted.
Now go back to your army, scan one more time as you engage, and stim pack it and forget about it. So engage that and stim it as like stim once you're like about to take the fight. So A move towards it and then stim as you get close. And now stop looking at your army. Now go back to your base macro. Start your upgrades 3-3. Get level 2 armor on your armory. Fix your natural mineral line. Fix your main mineral line. Fix your 3rd mineral line. Make turrets in each one of your bases. Keep producing units meanwhile the whole time. Lift that command center in your main base and send it to a new base. Take another command center at another base that's not taken yet. There's so many things you got to be doing, and it's just constantly like keeping up with it. And I know I'm overwhelming you right now, and I'm not expecting you to keep up with what I'm saying. It's just in general, that's the
Alright,
shit you
let's
should be
see.
thinking about. It's all macro, all macro, all macro. Also, when you move your army, make sure.
CC's upgraded.
Now, I would say shift move it. Like, so when you A move this army, you should have A moved and like shift A move towards the natural and the main. You can do it all off the mini map, by the way. And then once you got close, you hit stim pack. That way your army doesn't just sit there at his third. Because now if you look at your army again, this is a mistake, and you're looking at your army. Like I see you look at their army, and okay, go ahead, say what you gotta say, and I'll tell you what I'm gonna say after.
So pressing the stim pack button does not
does
remove
not.
doesn't
No.
break the queue. Okay.
Nope.
All right.
Yeah, because I know you were just fixing what I just told you to do, so I'm not trying to like yell at you right there. But it's like what I want you to do, like actually do this really fast. Take your army out of his base. Select the army and move it away from his base really fast. Move your army back to like the middle of the map,
Field depleted.
and now
That field's been mined out.
I guess you're far away enough now. It's fine. So now what I want you to do is have your army selected, and don't even click the screen. Click the mini map. I want you to attack his third on the mini map. Attack the third base, and then still on the mini map. Hold shift, attack the natural. Hold shift, attack the main. It's like each one of these clicks is so close to each other because it's all on the mini map. And then hit stim pack.
Add-on complete.
And now don't even look at it. And like now go back to your base and watch the mini map. Your army will just do it now. You don't have to look at your army. It'll just go fucking ham. So now that's all the time you should take to attack somebody for now. That's it. And now here you're again going back to everything I just said, where it's like take another base, make it a PF, take a turret, do 3/3 upgrades, start all those reactors, which you did. Make units as every time a unit dies, instantly remaxed, instantly remaxed, instantly remaxed.
We're running out of minerals back home.
And this is something I actually just said to someone else yesterday, which I worded it in a way where I liked how I said it, and I'm going to say it to you now. This is like your homework, I guess, to make sure you're doing it properly. The first step, there's 2 steps, okay? The first step is max out as fast as you can. Just like as fast as you can compared to what I did in the example I gave you. Work on it, try to get better at it, like see how well you do. The second thing you should do, besides maxing out roughly around what I did, is that like it initiates a game you should play with yourself, which is if you ever are not maxed from that point on, from the first time you max out, if you ever drop below max for more than 10 seconds at a time, you should feel like you just lost the game. So if you max out and you lose some units once you're maxed and you are not able to remax within 10 seconds of that, you are macroing poorly. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, so like if you can do that, if you make that a game for yourself, it's like a little mini game where obviously I'm not telling you to quit the game, but if you just really work on that and you're like, okay, I'm attacking him and I'm not microing my army, I'm just macroing during the process, and your supply drops from like 200, 190, 170, 155, 148, and your supply is like climbing as it drops, and it's like, so it drops maxes, drops maxes, drops maxes, drops maxes, drops maxes. You will, if you can manage to do that every fucking time,
We're running out of minerals.
that is step 1 to being a good macroer at StarCraft 2. Step 2 would be once you actually like get so good at that it's super easy for you to always do that every time. Then then you will definitely not be Gold League anymore. You will not be Platinum anymore. You will definitely be at least Diamond. And once you're in Diamond League, if you can manage to not only continue to do it the whole time, but also now still do it even when you micro for real a little bit, that is what will take you from Diamond now all the way to Masters and GM. Those are like the steps of progression for you in terms of like understanding how to multitask. So for now, it's really just, it's almost like, it's like practicing a method where you do it so fucking much that you don't even have to use your brain to do it anymore. It's just like breathing to you. Like you don't have to literally wake up every day and go in, out, in, like unless you're having like a panic attack or some shit, you know what I mean? But like if you just are like functioning, if you don't have to tell your brain to pump your fucking blood into your heart and shit, and you don't have to tell your eyes to blink. It's all automated. You need to make macroing for you in StarCraft 2 also automated. It needs to be something you don't have to think about, because you've just done it so many times and you've practiced it so much that it's just like ingrained into you. And this might take you like a month. It might take you 2 months. I don't know. Everyone's different, but it's not going to take you like 5 years. It's just it's just like something that you need to work on to the point to where it feels very comfortable for you, that it's just not hard anymore. and then you build on top of that. That makes sense?
Cool. How much? Yeah. How much would you? You think I should do this on the ladder, or should I
definitely.
get computers
You-
till I happy, or what do you think?
Both would be fine. You could do it against
Yeah.
if you're feeling uncomfortable and you're like, okay, this is stressing me the fuck out. You could do it against AI because it'll be a little bit easier
Yeah.
and more manageable. But definitely do it on the ladder as well. It's gonna feel like hard to do for at least a little bit because it's gonna be awkward because you're not used to it. But once it starts becoming comfortable, you will start crushing everybody with this build because it's just efficiency. It's just good efficiency.
And you think this will stand up to like stupid Colossus and Lurkers, all the junk that people like to throw out there, even in gold?
I think that if you can maintain good macro, you will have a 99% win rate until Diamond League. Now, I'm not obviously expecting you to have that because that would be saying you could already do it as good as I could in terms of the example I gave you, and that would be impossible because you're not comfortable with it yet. But once you get comfortable, you will start winning a lot. Like no matter what unit you throw out there and say, what if the guy in Gold League does this, or what if the guy in Gold League does that, and I say, well, if I do exactly what I just showed you in Gold League, I don't think I would ever lose. And it's not because I'm playing like a GM player. It's because I can macro above what Gold League is, and that's what I want you to do. That you can do that if you focus on it. And the reason why players in Gold League are stuck in Gold League is because they don't macro when they micro. Just like how when you were getting attacked by that little attack earlier on in this game, your money flipped to like 1,500 minerals because you just didn't micro, or you didn't macro while you were like trying to move your army around for a little bit. And then obviously the build's uncomfortable for you. I totally get it. It's the first time you've ever done it. So I'm not really trying to judge you too hard. It's just get comfortable doing it and it won't be uncomfortable anymore.
Okay, cool.
Because like the thing that's more important than like, oh, I made my Marines micro like fucking Byun, it was sick, or Maru or some shit, is look at your natural. Like if you ever let shit like that happen in the middle of a game, that's fucking awful. Or look at your third base. Like obviously I know we haven't been doing anything, we're just talking, but that shit will happen to you the more you micro.
Yeah.
Like just make sure your macro is good, and that's so much better. So that's step one too, because I'm dead serious when I say this. You need literally no other skills in StarCraft 2 to be Diamond League other than macro. Macro is required in every league of StarCraft 2 to be better and better and better. It's not like macro is not important in Masters League or something, or GM. It's still drastically important then too. It's just once you get to Diamond Plus, the game does get more complicated, and you then have to add more to just macro. But you can actually handle it then, because if you can actually make it to Diamond League off of just macro, means your macro's at a point where it's pretty solid overall. It's not bad. And then your multitasking is what needs to be improved then. But if you can't even get out of like platinum or gold or whatever, it means it's just your macro. It does not matter how good your micro is. Like you could put me, I'm not even kidding, dude. I would like throw down $1 million right now and say, oh, I'm playing against the world's best Gold League micro player. All right, I will 100% win the game with just macro. I wouldn't give a fuck. I'd be like, okay, show me what you got, micro guy. How about I just macro like a fucking player that's able to do it efficiently, and you do your inefficient macro bullshit with one Banshee flying around my base or something. It's like, yeah, I never let it die. And they're like, okay, cool. I'll just make fucking 54 supply tier 2 or 3.
Yeah, I think it's hard, at least for me, it's you hear stuff dying, stuff like that. It's hard not to break your concentration to concentrate on something else, right? It's
that's where the
yeah.
the 10-minute, the 10-second rule comes in. If you can, every single time something dies, if you're just maxed within 10 seconds every time, who gives a shit if something dies?
Yeah.
That is so much more important than microing every unit. Microing only comes in when you can multitask, and you cannot multitask until macro feels comfortable. And you, by all means, this game, you're like, for instance, the thing where you're like, shit, tab, oh, double tab, triple tab, fuck, one tab, oh, this is hard. Like, that should not be happening if you're comfortable. Like, that will go away. Yeah. Everything like that needs to be fucking good. So, macro.
Okay, cool.
All right, man.
Cool. Well, I appreciate the time. I'll work on this stuff. I'll look at the replay, make that a build, and get out there.
All right, man. Well, good luck, and dude, thank you very much for doing a lesson. I appreciate the Patreon stuff, and yeah, until next time.
All right, cool. Well, thank you. Have a nice weekend.
Yo, you too, man. Take it easy.
All right, take care.
All right, guys. Boom. Coaching lesson. Danola. With Albert. Yeah, dude. Fuck yeah. Thank you very much, Albert, for doing it. Guys, if you watched it on YouTube, thank you very much for hanging out. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope it helped you as well. Go check out more videos. I have videos from all different sorts of leagues. I have bronze to all the way to GM, literally a series that says exactly that. I have coaching lessons all over the place for different levels of skill and races. So if you liked it, go check out more. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Till then, much love, take it easy, and peace.